My name is Elena Martinez and I am 29 years old. 2 weeks ago, FBI agents knocked on my sister's apartment door at 7:43 a.m. They were looking for me. For 10 years, Carmen had been living as me, and I had 3 binders of evidence to prove it. Let me take you back to 2016, when this all started. Carmen had just lost her job at the bank and was facing eviction from her apartment. I remember the exact conversation. She called me crying on a Thursday night, saying she needed help getting back on her feet. What I didn't know was that she'd already opened her first credit card using my social security number 3 days earlier. The warning signs were there, but I dismissed them. Credit monitoring alerts about inquiries I didn't make. A pre-approval letter for a store card that arrived at my address with my name but Carmen's phone number. When I asked her about it, she laughed it off, said the bank must have mixed up our information since we'd both applied for jobs there. I started keeping records in a simple manila folder. Every strange letter, every odd phone call, every credit alert that didn't make sense. By December 2016, that folder had become my first binder. By 2018, Carmen had gotten bolder. She'd opened 4 more credit cards in my name, each one delivered to different addresses I'd never lived at. I discovered this when a collections notice arrived at my apartment. Apparently, I owed $847 on a Macy's card I'd never applied for. That's when I upgraded from 1 binder to 3. I started calling every company, requesting account histories and statements. The patterns became impossible to ignore. Carmen was using variations of my address, changing street to St. or adding Unit B to my apartment number. She'd memorized my social security number, my mother's maiden name, even my childhood pet's name. The most disturbing discovery came in late 2019. A mortgage pre-approval letter arrived with my name but listing Carmen's current address. She wasn't just stealing my credit anymore. She was trying to buy a house as me. I photocopied everything, added it to binder 2, and started documenting every conversation we had about money. By 2020, the debt in my name had reached $23,000 across 7 different accounts. If your sister was systematically using your name to rack up $23,000 in debt across 7 different accounts, would you have kept documenting everything or confronted her immediately? Comment your answer below. Now let me show you how Carmen's deception reached a whole new level in 2021. In 2021, Carmen crossed a line I never imagined she would. I discovered she'd used my identity to sign a lease for a 2-bedroom apartment in Scottsdale. The lease agreement arrived in my mailbox by mistake, addressed to Elena Martinez, but listing an address I'd never seen before. This wasn't just about credit cards anymore. Carmen was literally living as me, using my name on legal documents, my credit history to secure housing. I drove to that Scottsdale address and saw her car in the parking lot. She'd been living there for 3 months, paying rent with money from the credit cards she'd opened in my name. That night, I started binder 3, the apartment binder. I documented everything: the lease she'd signed, utility bills in my name at her address, even a medical bill from an urgent care visit she'd made using my insurance information. I was building a case, methodically collecting evidence, because I finally understood this wasn't going to stop on its own. By 2024, Carmen had crossed every line I thought existed. In March 2025, she attempted something that finally triggered federal attention. I discovered she'd used my identity to apply for a small business administration loan, claiming I owned a consulting company that existed only on paper. The application listed $180 Zuzo in projected revenue and requested $75,000 in startup capital. I filed a report with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, providing every document from my 3 binders as evidence. The investigation moved faster than I expected. Within 6 weeks, I received a call from an agent confirming they'd opened a case. The SBA loan fraud got prioritized because it crossed into federal territory: wire transactions, bank accounts, government money. By December 2025, they'd traced Carmen's activities and discovered the pattern went deeper than I'd realized. The irony was perfect. Carmen had given them my address as her business location on the SBA application. That's why the agents showed up at my door instead of hers. On February 18, 2026, at 7:43 a.m., FBI agents knocked on Carmen's door. My 3 binders became Exhibit A through C in the federal case. Carmen was arrested and charged with wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. The prosecution told me my documentation was the strongest evidence they'd seen in a case like this. Carmen pleaded guilty in August 2026 and received a 7-year federal sentence. I spent 6 months working with credit agencies and banks to clear my name from $98,000 in fraudulent debt. Today, my credit score is 847, and I work as a victim advocate helping other families navigate identity theft. The woman who stole my identity for 10 years is now serving time in federal prison, and I finally have my life back. Subscribe for more family betrayal stories, and watch this next video about sibling financial fraud.